there's a bunch of quarterbacks who don't line up under center. More quarterbacks don't than do because they're not comfortable with it because they've grown up
Right. And
playing a certain way for their entire football life.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen, getting ready for a Week 3 matchup, Eagles versus Rams. That game will be 1 p.m. Sunday in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. John will be down at the stadium for that one. We'll have full game day coverage for you guys live this Sunday, pregame, halftime, postgame show, as well as the Green Zone, which will be the play-by-play of the football game on the channel as well. So looking forward to doing it this weekend. John, let's get into that game. All right, let's get into the Eagles' offense approach to the game. We'll start on the offensive side before we go to the defensive side. I actually think the defensive side is a very interesting matchup as well between Vic, McVay, that Rams offense, this Eagles defense. And we'll get into that. But let's start with the Eagles offensive side. And the lead story, John, is, and you've said it, Saquon Barkley destroyed this team last year. All right, Week 12 in LA last year, he had 26 carries for 255 yards, good for 9.8 yards per carry, and had 2 touchdowns in that game. And then in the divisional round, to top it off, 26 carries again for 205 yards, 7.9 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. That's a total, John, of 52 carries for 460 yards, 8.8 yards per carry, and 4 touchdowns. Those 2 games included touchdown runs of 70 yards, 72 yards, 62 yards, and 78 yards. I mean, that is as dominant of a performance as you can get versus a football team that Saquon Barkley had. Now, I know it's last year, but I think idea number 1 coming into this game, they got to prove they could stop Saquon Barkley, John. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, and I bring up poor Christian Roseboom a lot.
Yeah.
I think he was.
God, he's been target number 1 for you, man.
Yeah, he was the main call. He was constantly out of position, out of his gap, and they moved on, and they had to. And they brought in a linebacker by the name of Nate Landman, who is not gonna, splash off the page. Not a lot of people know him, but he's a very good run defender. That's what they needed. He's played really well early in the season. Again, he's going to be an improvement. So, but but I've mentioned a couple times he's not, Fred Warner. He's not Ray Lewis. He's just better than what they had, and to a certain degree, it was so bad last year for the Rams. You think about it, 255, 205, 460 yards. You think about 2,504 yards a historic season. If it wasn't for the Los Angeles Rams, you just have a really, really, really great season for Saquon Barkley still, but not historic. They were what put him over the top, 460-yard, 370-yard runs. Crazy. So I would take the under on that, not happening.
Just paying the stats back here, though, John. It's crazy what he did to the team last year.
So they'll be a little bit better, and they also got Poona Ford as well up front, which helps. They're a great pass rushing front, but they're very undersized. There's a give and take to that. Part of the reason they're a great pass rushing front is because they're so athletic. Part of the reason they're so athletic is because they're a little bit smaller than, maybe that can hold up and run support. So it's a give and take to it. Most teams, again, that's what you want. That's why you do it. You build your team to face not just the Philadelphia Eagles, but everybody in the NFL. And they're usually in a good position. But against the Eagles, it's a tough matchup for them because the Eagles have the great offensive line. So they can persevere against that great pass rush a little bit more, and they can also push them around in the running game, which they did.
Yeah.
So that's my concern, the styles type of thing. I don't think the style is still good for the for the Rams. I just don't think they match up with the Eagles.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, and we just gave you the crazy Saquon numbers, and the an interesting. And in addition to that, Jalen Hurts also kind of ran all over this team last year. He had the 44-yard touchdown run in the divisional game. He had 109 rushing yards between the two games. So together they combined for 599 yards and in the two games. And the only reason they didn't go over 600 was because they had kneel downs at the end of the game. So they really ran on this football team, man. I don't know. I know you just mentioned where the Rams got a little bit better, but this is a matchup nightmare for this Rams defense in terms of how good the Eagles are at running the football. So, the one thing I would say to that, Tom, Eagles offensive line hasn't looked the same to start the year. I know we give them the benefit of the doubt by calling them the best O-line in football, but through 2 weeks, they have not been the best O-line in football. Now, could they turn it on this week? Yeah, absolutely. They could turn it on any week. I expect them to find rhythm and get going, but I do think that's something to consider, something to watch for here. Last year, the Eagles' offensive line was dominant. This year, it's not quite off to that type of dominant start.
Well, I think, and that's interesting because when you said that, I'm like, well, they're not as good as they were last year. I think that part of it's fair, I'd have to look, but I doubt anybody's playing any better on the
Really? You
offensive
think so?
line. I mean, I can look at it, but I mean, I just don't think other people have the talent. Detroit was close, but they lost Ragnow, and they haven't been playing as well. It's only 2 games, but they were bad in the first game. I know that because I saw it. They put up a 50 spot, so I assume they were better in the second game. But yeah, I don't see a lot of teams with the talent to even be in the purview of the Eagles when it comes to the offensive line. I just don't. And then if you look at the individual players, with the exception of Landon, who's been playing through an injury and is not playing like his reputation, everybody else is playing well. I'm looking at the PFF ranking. Malott is 1 of 65. So he's number 1. Lane is Lane. Tyler, I think, has played better. Cam is 5 of 32. Yeah, I disagree with that. With the exception of Landon Dickerson. And the issues they have had are generally pass protection more than run blocking. But I will say the difference is, teams are loading the box and playing zone. Well, that's what Dallas did. Load the box and play zone. Spag load the box and played zone or zero blitz, no in between. So they're basing, and they based a lot of, the Rams probably played more heavy boxes than any other team in the NFL against the Eagles last year. For those who don't know, it's like 80%. And it didn't help them because they didn't have the talent to deal with it. But anytime you load it, it becomes a more of a grind and a murky, ugly thing, and you got to be disciplined, and you got to be playing for the lead, and you basically have to hope for the home run. What's missing is the home run. That's what's missing.
Right. The big explosive 70-yarders we just talked about.
Yeah. And that, because if you think about it, what are the numbers? The first game, 26 for 255.
I think, yeah.
Okay. There's 2 70-yard runs. So 140 from 255, and there were more, one was 72, I think, but just use round numbers.
Yeah.
So that means
24 for 115.
Yeah. So much, not bad. That's certainly good.
Yeah, right.
But much more, so I think that's what's missing. And what nobody talks about, and I get why they don't talk about it. This team lost Johnny Wilson. It lost Ben Van Sumeren. And it lost Dallas Goedert for the Kansas City game. And one thing about 72-yard runs, part of it is you can point to Mekhi Becton pancaking people, but to go 72 yards, you need wide receivers blocking down the field.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of role that nobody notices, but the Eagles lost that role with Johnny Wilson. They lost that.
The greatness of Johnny Wilson, man. We knew it would impact the Birds. We'll see.
And Ben's a part of it as well, and Dallas is a part of it as well, because you lose big time blockers.
Yeah.
Where they can go to 13 personnel. And you know, when they played 13 a lot last year, and this is when it was going to be that was going to be Johnny's role. He'd be the only receiver on the field when they go run heavy. And you don't have that. They're trying to find it with Darius Cooper, who never blocked a day in his life at Tarleton State, but he's a big physical guy. And maybe he gets there, but
he was like AJ Brown at Tarleton State.
He
was like
exactly.
a dude.
Exactly. Well, now Dallas Goedert didn't block at South Dakota State, and he grew into it because he's a big physical guy. You know, maybe the same thing happens for Darius Cooper. Half of blocking is want to.
Yeah.
But they don't have that right now. So that's a part that I think nobody talks about that should be entered into the equation.
Yeah, I agree. It's good. It's definitely still a good matchup for the Birds in that perspective. Chris Shula has his hands full. The Rams defensive coordinator. John just talked about the run game and obviously what they were able to do to the Rams team. Now let's talk about that passing game. Obviously, they do have, you know, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Well, I know you want to run on this football team. You do have great receivers, and A.J. Brown gets to see an old friend out there in Emmanuel Forbes. They don't have the best. They don't have the best cornerbacks, John. They got Akello Witherspoon, Emmanuel Forbes, and Kobe Durant out there. And Witherspoon is out. He broke his clavicle against the Titans in week 2 and is now on the injured reserve. So we're looking at Emmanuel Forbes as cornerback 1 and Kobe Durant. Like, I know we should run because they couldn't stop us in the run, but holy mackerel, this is an opportunity to pass on this football team.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Emmanuel Forbes is back. I thought he might retire.
Me too. Me too. Oh, man, me too.
Yeah, he's probably not looking forward to this one. AJ didn't take the bait yesterday, but I mean, boy, he really beat him up when he was in Washington. And early indications are he's not playing well with the Rams either. Durant is certainly the better of the two, but ironically, because he's limited, I guess, from the standpoint. Now, remember, they lost, as you said, Witherspoon. So, you know, that's the starter. And Durant is sort of the third corner, but yeah, they're not good. They're not good. But the Eagles aren't good at passing football. So that is weakness versus weakness. But you know the Eagles have good players, so can they figure it out? And I think the only way the Eagles figure it out on the passing game, as I said, it's counterintuitive. You almost want the Rams to score because that forces you to come out of the shell, and then the passing game will get better.
Right. But I mean, still, you got that matchup over there, man. That's an opportunity to take advantage of that for sure. Emmanuel Forbes is listed at 6'1", 180, and 180 might be a little generous for Emmanuel Forbes. So, AJ Brown, come on, man. If there's a day to get him involved, get him involved. I want to see it, John.
Yeah. Well, yeah, AJ wants to see it too. You know,
I don't know why. I don't know why the Eagles don't want to see it more.
Well, I think they do, but I think they're
really. I think they don't. Like, I don't think they care. I think they're just like, all right, let's just keep winning, and who cares if he's involved or if he's not.
Well, I'm at the point where I don't know what people want. Like,
I want you to use the receiver that's one of the highest paid receivers in football. That's arguably the best receiver in football. That is a mismatch versus every fucking cornerback he goes up against. That's what I want. Is that such a hard thing to ask for, John?
Well, do you want AJ to have 140 and lose the game, or do you want AJ to have 50 or 40 and
don't you think 30? There's kind of a faulty premise involved though, where people are like, oh, if you pass, you're going to lose the game. Like, I don't agree with that. You know, people are like, well, why do you want the passing stats when people lose the games who throw a lot? And I'm like, I'm not saying I want to throw for 400 yards. I want to get A.J. Brown involved. Why does that correlate
you want to throw
to losing the game?
You want to throw for 221 yards.
200. That's my number. I said yesterday. 200 keeps the defense honest.
And yeah, that's about execution though. That's all that's about. Not about changing philosophy. They just haven't thrown the ball well. And again, people aren't ready for that conversation because most of that lands on one person. And they don't want to have that conversation. So, you know, when that part of it gets better, you'll be at that number you're comfortable with. If it doesn't, you're going to be in trouble at some point. But history says it's going to get better.
Yeah. Well, I hope it will. I mean, A.J. Brown right now, 6 catches for 35 yards on the season and a long of 8 yards. That is what I don't like to hear. All right. I know we've talked about it. 8-yard long. That's where I said I think it's still further condensing, John. I know you said it didn't condense further this year. It feels to me through 2 games that it has. I hope they get him more involved in the game, but we'll see if they do that. And obviously, they have a lot of ways to beat this team. I really think the Eagles are just a good matchup for the Rams, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I dispute is the effectiveness and the execution has condensed. The mindset hasn't condensed. The mindset was just picked up where they left off from. It's the same mindset, which is, don't turn the football over, play from the lead, and run out the clock. And get the hell out with a win, which they've done to their credit.
Can you answer me something? Why does the narrative exist, John, that Jalen Hurts can't do play action or doesn't like to do play action? Like, you have Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown. It's like the perfect setup to run play action. I don't buy the narrative that Hurts can't run play action. Why don't they run more play action, bootleg, rolling out a little bit? I mean,
he's not comfortable being under center. Again, anybody can line up under center. Can you do it effectively? Anybody can line up anywhere.
You can do it effectively. Like, I don't know if I buy that.
Well, there's a bunch of quarterbacks who don't line up under center. More quarterbacks don't than do because they're not comfortable with it because they've grown up playing a certain way for their entire football life. So then to turn them, like, footwork is a big thing with quarterbacks. Like, people think it's like no. When you're under center, you got 3-step drop, 5-step drop, 7. Bang, bang, bang. Ball's got to come out on time. Back foot hits the ground, ball comes out. It's not what he does. So I don't.
But he can do it. I mean, I've seen him do it. And
anybody can do anything. You could line up Saquon Barkley at quarterback and say, do it. Anybody can do it physically. Can you do it effectively?
I think the dagger in the Super Bowl was play action, wasn't it?
But again, the one play scouting is the problem. Like, when you say somebody's not effective at something or somebody's not comfortable at something, you're speaking in a more holistic standpoint of, if you do it consistently, you're not going to get the results you want versus what he does feel comfortable with, which is shotgun or pistol. You're going to see more consistency from that. That's what you're saying.
And this is my point about earlier, where I don't think they're evolving the quarterback anymore. And it's my biggest concern. But the
thing is, when we're all defend the Eagles, you don't want to turn Jalen Hurts into Kirk Cousins.
I'm not trying to turn him into Kirk Cousins.
You don't want to turn Kirk Cousins into Jalen Hurts. One's a traditional, and that's what I assume you're talking about, traditional play action, old school quarterback. And one is a modern college game, pistol shotgun quarterback.
Is there no gray area that exists between the two? I mean, get him outside how many times? I mean, you said it. The one problem with the offense right now, Hurts isn't getting the ball out quick. All right. How many times have we seen Hurts standing in the pocket like Kirk Cousins does, and he's not comfortable in the pocket? Talk about something he's not comfortable in. He doesn't thrive from being inside the pocket. Roll him out, get him out, let him make a play outside the pocket. If you don't want to do another fine. Do an RPO, get him outside. Let him make a play in an environment where he feels better. I don't even think they're trying to do that anymore.
Well, the other team's playing as well. That's another thing. So Spags came in with the mentality. I think, and I talked about this with Lane. Lane's been playing for a long time. He's never seen more zero blitz than he saw against the Chiefs. I think a lot of people hear zero blitz and they say, well, he's trying to sack the quarterback. He wasn't trying to sack the quarterback. He was trying to keep the quarterback in the pocket. In the pocket. He was trying to limit him from doing exactly what you want him to do. So the other team's playing as well, I would say, number one. And they're trying to do a certain thing, and they're trying to keep him away from his strengths. He makes a ton of plays outside the pocket. You don't want to build your offense. The Eagles use play action all the time, but the Eagles play action is more of the zone read sort of mechanics.
Right.
From the shotgun or from the pistol. So I think a lot of people, and I can't read your mind, but I think what you're trying is, why does he not do traditional play action?
Well, I don't think it needs to be like absolutes, like 4 or 5 times a game with Saquon. You know what I mean? With Saquon and these receivers, take a couple shots. I'm not telling you you have to line up under center every single play, but I think there's a place for it where they don't use it, and I think it would benefit Jalen. I think it would benefit their offense as a whole.
I don't think they think it would benefit Jalen.
Well, clearly not. That's why I keep saying they've condensed the offense down to do the bare minimum. And it's like, don't turn the ball over, run this offense, and we're good. We'll sneak out of there with a
I don't think it's that. I think it's like the biggest thing I think that the Eagles deserve credit for. And I say it all the time. I said it on Countdown to Kickoff last night because I can't stand this argument about everything being in a vacuum. The goal is to build your offense around your quarterback. So Buffalo, for instance, builds their offense around Josh Allen. And all the way down the list to, guys who aren't good. You're still trying to build your offense around your quarterback at any particular time, and that will shift. And for the people to say, Nick, sure, again, all you have to do is look at Indianapolis tape. It's still up there if you have Game Pass. Look at Phillip Rivers playing the position. It's a completely different offense. One of the things Nick Sirianni was proud of, and he should be proud of, and he sold to Jeffrey Lurie when he got the job, was the circumstance they were put in Indianapolis. If you look at the Andrew Luck offense, if you look at the Jacoby Brissett offense, if you look at the Phillip Rivers offense, they're all completely different. They're all completely different. I think the Eagles deserve credit for building their offense around their quarterback. And when you talk about quarterback rankings and all that bullshit, the best quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles right now is Jalen Hurts because they built the offense around the quarterback. And they will continue to do so. Turning him into Kyle Shanahan style of quarterback, or even for 5 plays a game, that kind of stuff doesn't work. Because then you're overloading him with something he's not comfortable with, which could affect him in a different way with stuff he is comfortable with.
Yes, but so do you believe what they've done this year and then what they did last year is the offense perfectly built around Jalen Hurts, or is it they added Saquon Barkley and they've doubled down on that approach? Like, remember, John, I have seen Jalen Hurts damn near MVP caliber in an Eagles uniform. Now, I know it was 22, and that's now a long time ago, but I'm not of the impression that they've built the perfect offense around Jalen Hurts. I've seen him be more effective than they're asking him to be. I think that's why I keep saying
nothing is perfect, but I think that the disproportion of Saquon's season obfuscates the fact that they were the same style of offense without him, with Miles Sanders, with DeAndre Swift. Again, Nick brought it up this week. Miles was a Pro Bowl running back here. DeAndre Swift was a Pro Bowl running back here. Saquon Barkley was an all-pro running back. That's the difference between Miles Sanders and Saquon Barkley, the effectiveness of the running back. But they turned this whole thing around in 2021. It was the Raiders game, and I forget the other game, where they just said they were putting too much on Jalen's plate very early in his career, and they were 2-5, and they just scaled it back and rode that offensive line, even more than a running back. It's got to do with the offensive line. And they became a playoff team, even after a 2-5 start. So, you can frame it however way you want it, because and how they frame it is it's and that's probably the right way. It's the Philadelphia Eagles offense through Shane Steichen calling the plays, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, now Kevin Patullo. It's the Philadelphia Eagles offense, and it's built around Jalen Hurts, most notably as the most important player, as the quarterback. But yeah, everybody else, it's built around the offensive line. It's built on the back of Saquon Barkley. And the passing game at this stage is more about execution than it is about what other people want to see, whether it's scheming guys open or traditional play action or any of that stuff, is how I would describe it.
I don't know. I mean, you said it, and I understand where you're coming from when Saquon has an all-pro season the way he did. But, hey, if we assume the logical perspective on Saquon is he's not going to be able to do the historic season he did last year, then that means, okay, the quarterback is going to have to do what he did prior to Saquon, which was a lot better than they're asking him to be now. So I'm having a hard time subscribing to the philosophy that this is the perfect offense for Jalen Hurts. He can't do anything more than what they're asking him to do here. And he shouldn't do more. I don't subscribe to that.
You heard none of that from me. Here's the difference. Jalen played better in 2022 than Jalen playing right now. That's the difference.
But aren't they asking him to do different things? I mean, they ran a lot of RPO.
Well, if anything, he's evolved because he does more at the line of scrimmage now post Kelsey. So he has in that regard. He has evolved. But the difference between runner-up to MVP Jalen Hurts and Jalen Hurts even last year or this year, and I've said pretty consistently on this program, despite the fact that he won the Super Bowl, that was not Jalen Hurts' best season as an individual.
Yeah, right. Absolutely not. They didn't. They asked him to do less.
And that's why I always say people are not ready for this conversation. The difference between Jalen Hurts in 2022 and Jalen Hurts over the first 2 games of the season is Jalen Hurts not playing as well. Will he play better? Yes, I expect him to play better. Has he played well in the first 2 games? I think he played well in the first game. I think he didn't play well in the second game. But what he's never going to be is a high volume thrower.